I'm Ken Moore.
And I know you had a couple of little jobs beforehand, but you worked at Readheads as your first proper job, really, didn't
John
you?
Readheads, yes. I served my time at John Readheads 1945.
Right.
That's when I started.
Started in 45. And can you just tell us about how you started working there? How come you got the job there?
Well, I got the job there. It was my dad that got the job through the foreman shipwright. And he played football for my dad. My dad's team, he was captain. See, my dad used to run the team. And it's through him that I got the interview and went to see him. I think it was on a Friday. And, he was a robust. With Trilby hat on, you know. And I remember him saying to my dad, like, time to start on Monday, time to come round on Monday, see what I can do for him, like that. But Jody. And so I was surprised. I didn't expect anything, like, you know. I had no clue. My dad, my mum made me boiler suit. She turned the turnips up 2 foot. My dad's old overalls, you know. And I went there that Monday morning. And I opened the big gate at 7:30. And they used to call them like markets, where the riveters would have what you call a marketplace where they stayed. And then the shipwrights would have a place where they stayed. And the platers have a place where they stayed. And they used to call them markets. Because if you wanted anything, they used to say go to the market. And that's where everybody met, you know. And I just stood there in the gap because I was 300 or 400 people there. Young lads with their caps on like me, like, you know. And there was 3 were all together. 3 were started that morning. And then you didn't start serving your time because I was only 40 and a half. You had to wait till you're 16. So what they did, they put you in a store. So you went in that local store and you stopped there till you were 16 years old. And you used to run the messages. And you used to serve people like some riveters and platers and burners and caulkers. Everybody that used to come in wanted something. And there was 2 departments of the store. There's what you call the easy end, which like a shop front and everything, like, you know, where you didn't get dirty, or you went in the back room. And the 4 lads used to take their turns different week to play in every department, you know. And the riveters used to come in just like a hole in a wall sort of style and say, we want a bag of rivets. And you used to get 100 bag of rivets. And you used to be able to carry them, you know, I'm not joking. You used to hide them on the counter and they used to take them, throw them on the back. No barras, this is true. And they would carry them rivets on their back, right, all the way up to the top of the ship, maybe it's 80 foot, up the gangway like that.
Did anyone ever, when people came to ask for the goods, did they have papers to sign or anything, or could people just come and ask for anything?
Yeah, all I had was a little white sheet, little white paper like that, signed by their foreman, right, and it says, a bag of rivets, a bag of 3/4 by 1.25 by 1/2 inch or whatever. It was always on there. And whatever was on there, you went and got them for them, right? And you would take them off and just put them to one side. And they would go to the foreman that was in charge of us, which was like Mr. Tyrrell, little Mr. Tyrrell, I remember his name. And he used to document all them stuff that come in and went out. He was the main purchase. He used to order them, fetch them in, tell you how much you wanted, you know. Just like an ordinary shop.
Mm. So did people ever come and try it on? Or did they have to have the slip?
Yeah, that was easy. You see, in them days, it wasn't like it is now, or in my later time. They would come on and say, look, we're short a 6 rivets or something like that. Well, Charlie, there's another one, Charlie was a second man. Yeah, I said, just get him, man, it'll be okay. And that was it, because whatever they come for wasn't any use to anybody. They couldn't sell it to anybody. you know. It doesn't matter. I mean, if some, like the Riveters, they were like the pride of the shipbuilding at the time, and if their gloves wore out, they would get an order for a glove. No, it was very important, the gloves. That was the only thing that you would want to take, would be the gloves, right? But you had to have an order for a glove. And if you wanted a new pair of gloves, you had to take the old ones to the foreman. And then the foreman would say, right, that one's all right, you need a right-handed glove. There's an order for a right-handed glove. Or he would say, look, there's nothing wrong with them, bugger off. Okay? That was it. And basically that was happened, but apart from that, there was nothing in the store, to me, that was any good to anybody. You know?
I remember you saying last time about a lot of brass going missing.
Yeah, well, that was different. That was away from the store. When I become, I would be 22 then, I'm jumping the big gun here. Because brass then, you see, in shipbuilding, it's like a house. If you start from one end, you need to finish exactly the way you want it before you put the next brick in, you know. Well, in shipbuilding, it's exactly the same. They're built in units. Now, sometimes the plates would be that wide. Well, you cannot pull it. You cannot pull it down, because if you pull it down, the next one might be a bit that way, and you pull that one down. By the time you put the piece on the top of it, it's not going to be in line, is it? It's going to be farther up front or farther off from what the other one is. So what they decided to do is put brass back at the welding, where they were going to weld the two plates together. Now I'm talking about from the top of the picture to the floor would be what you call a shell butt. And if it was too wide for the welders to weld, I used to go down to the foreman welder and explain to them what it is. And they would say, right, I'll give you one strip and you can use the brass, right? So I had to sign for it. And then I would come, I would go inside and I would put the brass exactly behind the wide butt, right? And I would weld two cleats on and I would fasten the brass in, because welding couldn't take the brass, you see. So that's what the most important was. They weren't worried about getting the ship welded, they were worried about losing the brass. Oh, this is true, right? So as soon as that was done, I had to go and get that brass, take it off, take it all the way back to the welding department and sign the ship with the foreman. Now then, apart from the brass, it wasn't in my time, in my early time in the shipbuilding history, it was in the late time, I would say early 70s, when they started to take the welding cable that was pinched in thousands and thousands of feet every time. Hardly ever caught anybody. This is true. Yeah. Used to come during the night after being to work. Come back, different ones would take it. I knew one or two of them would take it. What can you do? You know what I mean? Very difficult. Very difficult. And very few got caught. More so when I went to the bigger yards, when I went to G.L. Thompsons and Sunderland and shipbuilders, British shipbuilders, it was taken there on a regular basis. And like some brass plates, sort of say what they used in the engine department, everything like that was pinched on a regular basis.
So you worked as a messenger for about a year and a half then?
Pardon?
You worked as a messenger for about a year and a half?
Yeah. Well, you're in the store, and if any calls come through, my phone, Mr. Tyrrell, who was manager of the store, would say, Ken, I want you to go find Mr. Bullock and tell him he's wanted the office. There was no, you know what I mean. So you had to go looking for where he was. So that's he would go to his cabin. It wasn't his cabin. He had to go on the ship. Didn't forget, I was only 15. And I was going on a ship like that. And I was walking in conditions which normally you wouldn't be allowed to do now anyway, because you had to be 16 to get on a ship or something, you know, now. And I would ask people where Mr. So-and-so was. And they would say, he's up there, he's up there, he's up there. I'd tell him, and I'd just come back and wait for the next one. And when the other lads might be with somewhere else, you know. I mean, like say Mr. Bullock, he could be in the main street because he was a bugger for going out shopping. You know, this is true. Hector Bullock. And then he was having an affair with somebody. You know what I mean? He's dead now, God bless him. And Mrs. Fitness. She had the little, like, small canteen from here to where that house is now. The main gate would be here, and that would be a little shop called Mrs. Fitness. Mrs. had tea and sandwiches, and some of the lads used to go in there for the dinner, you know, for a shoon or something like that. And she would make the dinners. And if you wanted Hector Bullock, it could be anywhere. I mean, many a time we buggered off, I'll say buggered off, right? And we would just go around by the dog gate, and we'd gone out there and gone for a walk, say just in Frederick Street. And a couple of times we've seen Hector coming up. I was a devil. All devils at work. Eh? Anybody, I mean, I could clock in. And this is true, I'll tell you this, I'm not afraid to tell you. I could clock in the morning, right? And the lad I was walking with, Jimmy Wilson, he's dead now. That's his sister that lives next door. And he was a lovely lad, and he used to say, well, that man's your job, Ken can't get for a walk. I used to go out the gate. The reason you could get out the gate is we used to keep all the timber structures outside, and we used to call it the park. Now, Readheads canteen was there the same time. But when we went over there saying we're going to message over the park, you didn't have to pass out, you see, because it would have been a shipwright and the carpenter, your wood was always there, and you used to go for it. And we used to pop in for a cup of tea. And Hector would always come in, because he was a bugger for it, you know. And we used to go on in the little boiler room till he buggered off. So,
is that where the tea ladies would keep you safe in the back room and
yes,
let you know when he'd gone?
What was it, Mrs. No, I can't remember her name, sorry. She used to keep the lot in the room, in the boiler room. She'd come, she's gone now. She's gone down the bank, like. And that was it. So,
but I mean, during that time as being a messenger, you must have got to have known the whole of the shipyard.
Oh, I knew everywhere. I knew everywhere. I knew everywhere. I knew every nook and cranny. I knew where to go out. I could go out in the afternoon and come back at 5 to 4. I'm not joking, you know. See, at that time then I was getting on. I could, the job that I was doing was I was looking after 4 welders. And as long as they were happy with the work that they had for that day, that was it. I could wonder about doing anything, you know. I remember one, this is very important. I remember this one. South Shields were playing a cup match, and it was on a day that we were at work. And I remember this. He says, no, the foreman says, no, I don't want anybody being off that day, because nobody is going for that match, like, you know. And I remember, and I got in his way that many times, so he could see us. And I watched that match, right? Now then the funny part is, you used to have a card, and you used to have to hand it in to the foreman as you finished every day. So it's 4:30, he stood in the queue, and you handed your card in so he could go home, you know. And sometimes you handed 2 in at once, you know. Well, mine didn't get handed in. So Jimmy Wilson, when I come in on the next morning, he says, I couldn't give him your card, there's your card. Oh, I said, I won't for it now. So when I went, I said, I forgot to put my card in, Mr. Petrie. Oh, he said, oh, I said, that's all right. He said, I remember saying you, that's all right, son. That's true.
Who won the match?
I can't remember.
So when you started your, once you got to 16, you then started serving at Tyne, didn't you?
Yeah. When you were 16, you went with another tradesman. And you went with a certain tradesman. Every tradesman had an apprentice. There's no two men like it is nowadays. It was one man and an apprentice. So you get an idea how many apprentices it was. And we kept with that one man nearly right through your 5 years. You know, and as soon as your 5 years was up, you become a journeyman. That's what you called it. Become a journeyman, right? And then you had an apprentice.
And was your man a good man? Because you could have, I suppose, you could have had a bad one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it wasn't that he was a good man; he was a brilliant man. And what it was, he worked on the lifeboats, right? And that was his sole job. And I spent nearly 2 years with him. And you were responsible for the lifeboats on the ship. That was putting them in, putting them up, looking after them, you know, putting everything up for what the boats to test them and everything, and that's all you did at the boats, nothing else. Once the boats were finished, then you went back to your trade with the same person. And the job was boring. And I spent 2 years with it, and I managed to get off. But the bloke that I was working with, the journeyman, was a craftsman. He was brilliant, you know. He taught me a lot. I mean, don't forget, like, to me, apprenticeship, you never finish your apprenticeship. That's my opinion. I could go now there and start building ships and I would still forget what to do. I've got a model there next door of a ship. It would open your eyes. I built that from scratch. From scratch. The ship from the 1950s, got no name. It's like 3 ships built in one. Would like to see it.
I think just if we do this first, then, then I would like to see it. Yeah. So what was your apprenticeship in? What were you a
carpenter?
Apprentice carpenter.
What it is, your class is shipwright, and there's two forms of shipwrights. There's a carpenter part, and there's a steel part. So most lads, when they were serving that time, spent that time on the woodwork department. And if you were unlucky, like I was, you'd get drafted onto the iron department because you were capable of doing that sort of job. You see, it's like all trades, as a dad know, you get good, bad, mediocre. I always put the best in front, and I'm not bragging. I was the best, I knew I was, right? And straight away they put you on jobs which they think are important to building the ship, regardless how you feel about it. You know, they're not bothered how you feel about it. That's what you do, and you'll do that now till you leave. And I did. I spent all my time on iron work, which I hated. You know.
So how long did you do that for?
Pardon, how long?
Was that the whole of the rest of your...
Well, that was partly the rest until I left in 1960s, I think, to go elsewhere. And when I went elsewhere, it was always 2 journeymen. I had a friend called Graham Anderson. He was my mate. We both went together, and we worked in different shipyards, on different jobs, but mostly always woodwork. Until the 70s, and then Graham died, and I went back in the iron department. It's some British shipbuilders, but maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit.
I don't know if this is going to be a bit complicated or not, but could you perhaps tell me about the sort of basic process of what happened at Readheads, like, you know, of shipbuilding? What would be the process that would occur, that would happen at Readheads?
Well, basically, Readheads well, years ago, before my time, was a top shipyard, right? And it had 3 berths, right? And they built probably 1 ship a year, they built. Then had another one on the stocks next door to it, probably half built. And they have a 3rd with maybe just the keel on it, right? Now once that ship was launched, right, another keel was laid on the one that was launched. So that would be like 3 ships. But it'd be one bit more than the keel, with the frames a bit shell up, another one with all the shell up and probably the decks on it, and then the one that was launched, just a raw steel, what you call the keel, was laid the next day when that launch was launched. That was basically what happened. And then the ship that got launched, right, it went to the fitting department, what you call the gut. It went round there and it lay alongside there until it was ready for sailing. And that was what you call where the woodwork department took over, the joiners and electricians and everywhere. But while it was on the stocks, it was mostly all iron workers, welders, riveters, whatever.
So the first part then would be the keel, and it would build up from the keel. Yeah,
the keel was most important. Once you got the keel down, right, and they put the double bottoms in, and then the rest of the bulkheads, and that was continued. That was all done by shipwrights. It was erected by erectors. The steel come from the sheds, it used to come alongside, and that was erected. And everything was erected by 4 erectors, and then the shipwrights would take over and assemble it, put it in its place, line it off, right, level it out to make sure it was level, you know, and then it would transform from there up, 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 up and up.
So when you were working on the shells, I think you said you did about 5 years on the shells.
Yeah.
Is that quite an early part of the process?
Yeah, that's, oh yes, that's definitely You see, the keel is the most important. You see, I'm going back 56 years, you know, and it's entirely different now. I mean, the keel wasn't wide as this. I reckon about 6 foot. That one was all the way down, right? And then the blocks were assembled underneath, right? In an open space like this. And then after that, the plates for the bottom, for the keel, would come and they would land on them blocks and they would be connected to the keel, each side. Then when that was done, all the timber structures was underneath, holding it together, right? And then the frames come and they were just put on by the erectors. And after that, it's just like a Meccano set.
So then was it the shell? Can you just tell us a bit about what you did when you were putting the shells on? Well,
once the shell was on, and all the shell plates was on, we used to be like different streaks. It used to be an H streak, J streaks and J streaks, anything like that, like, and they were all in streaks, right? And I would say the plate would be what, 25 foot long, about 7 foot high, right? And they would come and they would be fastened onto the frames, right? And then they were fastened all the way, and then you got erection staging up, right, so that you could reach them, right? And each time, one by one, every time the plates, you had to wait till so many was on, right? And then you would go what you call fare them up. That was be level the holes up for the riveters and whatsoever. And then you would have to fare the shell butt. By fairing the shell butt, once you faired it, the welder would come, pardon me, and he would weld it. He would weld it up and finish. When he got that one finished, he'd have another one ready next door. But in that department, there was just 2 doing the whole ship, right? I'll give you an idea, me and Jimmy. And me and Jimmy would do both sides of the ship, fore and aft, so that whenever the shell went on, there'd be a butt, either there, the other side, and the other side. And we would go and fill all them up, keep the welders happy. We used to have 4 welders.
So you were sort of preparing
everything for them to weld up, right? And then once it was welded, the riveters would come up and they would rivet it, you know, whatsoever.
So there was welding and riveting that happened?
Oh yes, aye. At first, the only part that welded in my time at Readheads was the shellwoods. There was no seams then. The seams were riveted. So the joint like that. And there was holes in all the way. 2 sets of holes like that, right away along the whole length of the plate. Up the frames, right? And they would weld it up and then they would rivet all that there. They would rivet the whole plate and then it was finished. It's only when it comes to the 70s that you started to get, they were prefabricated sections as big as this house, twice as big, and they would just weld everything because there was no riveting then.
So there must have been, there's quite a lot of riveters then and quite a lot of noise.
I've got no idea. I would say, let's say now, if I worked on a ship in full steam, on shell alone, before 4 midships and aft, both sides, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 8 squads. 4 squads either side. And they would start in the middle. One would work forward, one would work up. And then you had your special riveters would stay what I would call, and this is true with the arse end. That's what they call the back of the ship, the arse end. And you had the one riveter who did all the arse end. And you would have 2 ex-riveters fairing the holes up for that riveter because it was a lot more complicated than the flat part of the ship, the midships.
So how long would it take then to rivet
a
ship?
Generally, just the one part?
That whole sort of section?
The whole section. Well, I would say this section was as wide as this bungalow. That would be that section, right? And it would be like I say, about 6 foot to 7 foot high. And it'd be probably 20 holes in every 18 inches wide, 20 inches high. And then there'd be 2 holes every 4 inches in length, right? And it would take a riveter 1 day or 1.5 days. And then he'd be shouting for the scaffolding to be moved for the next one or up over whichever way they were going. Now he would be outside on his own, right? And he'd have staging, not what it's like now. He'd have 3 planks to stand on, 2 for his back, up the side, and a single one. And he would rivet right to the top on that type of staging. And inside he would only have 3 planks. And he would have a catcher, and there would be the heater. Now the heater would be on the tank top. He would heat it on the flanges. He would heat it like, and he would hold it, throw it up to the catcher. Now sometimes the catcher had a bucket, but sometimes it didn't bother because it would hide on the plank. And in between the frames, they'd put a bracket, they'd put a piece of wood, so that every time they throw it up, it wouldn't fall down again. It would lay up again there. And the catcher would put it up, take it to the riveter, put it in, to hold it up, and they would hold it up. And they would knock. They move the next one, the next one. And then the counter rivets, exactly the same. Could count the rivets when they went along, you know. They couldn't test them, see if there's any bad ones. And if there was a tinkle, right, they would take that one out, the burner would come born out and put a new one in.
Some of these rivets must have gone astray. They can't all have been caught perfectly and...
Well, I mean, you couldn't pinch them, because they were useless. But they were gone astray, hundreds of them. Just half a bag would be left. because most of the time, you must remember that in that time, riveters were the kingpins of the shipbuilding industry, right? And they were piecemen, you know. They were paid by piece, and they hadn't time to drop a rivet and go and pick it up. Off the bugger it there, and the catcher says, I've left some rivets down there. He said, bucket them, carry on.
I mean, it must have been quite dangerous with these hot rivets being thrown around.
But that was life in the shipyards, you know. You're talking about maybe 4 in that one hold, and then you would have a plater working there, and then you would have the welder welding that, you know, then you would have the carpenter, you know, and you would have the shipwrights fairing.
How, I mean, what kind of distance would they have been throwing these hot rivets up in the air?
20 foot, no problem. It's like that. I could throw a rivet like that. I did heating, just for fun. You know, we used to eat my cans of tea, you just heat them on the heater, right? And if they catch it, the heater wanted 2 minutes and you were there, he said, can you hook up the rivets up, Ken? And he'd bother. It's not supposed to be, but anybody believed now like that, you know.
What was the noise like?
Oh, well, you would never have any idea of the noise. You'll never ever hear a noise like that again in your life. And I mean that sincerely. I honestly do. You have no idea. You have a riveter, you have a holder up, and you're talking about from here to across the road, and about as wide as this bungalow, you could have 1, 2, 3, 4 riveters, 4 holders up inside, and obviously the 4 riveters outside, right? And you'd have the 4 heaters, and every one of them would be, you imagine what it's like.
And with the corking at the same time as well?
No, yeah. Well, the corking was there at the time, but most of the corkers followed, and their noise was worse again. Theirs was horrendous. I mean, if you got a machine, and they could actually cut solid steel, cut a 1/4 of an inch off like that, and you've got no idea what it is. And I never had any protection whatsoever. None whatsoever. There's no such thing. It was horrendous, honest. I mean, especially in the fore peak or the after peak, like confined space, you know. It got to such a stage that even in the late 70s, when I was at Sunderland Shipbuilders, even in the late 70s, us the carpenters used to work the dinner hour on that, so that the men that were inside could have a little bit thing, because you have no idea what it's like. People would just walk off. Nowadays, couldn't stand it. It's different now. But it was, I couldn't describe the noise, like, you know, and I lived through that, you know, for 10 years, but...
You were saying last time about getting the flashes from the artwork.
Yeah, that was horrendous. I seem to get subject, mostly what you call heavy fours, I think they're called fours, and they were for downhand, you know, and they had to have the extreme power on to weld. And as soon as the thing be up, the flash, you might have seen all ones on the telly, you've seen it, you've got no idea. Sometimes you got away with it, but sometimes if it catches the side of your eye, you have no idea what the pain's like. I've had, well, everybody had. And to explain to you, when I went home, when I used to go home, and I had one of them, I had to have tatty peelings put in my eye, raw tatty in my eye to keep the heat in, you know, because the heat was intense in your eyes and the pain, and the potato sliced on there, or the bandage was trying to cool your eyes down. Well, sometimes they were that severe that the next day you had to go to Sunderland Iron for me, and they put proper drops in to take it away, and you had to have somebody with you when you went. And I had that 2 or 3 days.
Are there quite a lot of people in who worked in the shipyards who suffered from eye
complaints?
Oh,
hundreds, man. You couldn't help it. I mean, you could be just working from here and where that car is on the road, and that, well, I would strike like that, you might catch somebody's eye, just a big flash. And they would know when they get home. By the time 6 o'clock come or 7 o'clock, the eyes just and pain, really pain, terrible.
So how long did you spend at Readheads altogether?
Let's see that. Yeah. 1946, 56, over 10 years. So I served over 6 years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, about 15 years I think it was, approximately.
And what was it like in general as a place to work?
Oh, great, great. No, lovely, great. If I could go back now, I could go back there tomorrow. And I'd like to work on a ship, even the conditioner I'm in now. That's true. They're lovely. Great mates, friends, everybody. The hundreds of mates, everybody. You had your plumbers, football team, the shipwrights, the welders, the electricians, the labourers, stagers. That was Readheads, you know. It was a family place. Everybody worked there. Everybody used to get on a bus then. It was great, man. You know, idea. Even going home, you have about 25 minutes at the table and you were away back again. I used to leave there at 2 minutes past 12. Because if you wanted there to get on the bus, they leave you. I used to get up home for just 10 past. I used to run all the way. My dinner was on the table. Got me dinner and had to run back for 10 to 1 to get that bus. Otherwise, if I missed that one, I had to slide in, but I knew how to get in.
You were saying, can you tell me a bit about, they said that you could only be late twice, so they'd shut the gates?
Oh yeah, if you were late twice, what happened, if you were late once, they put a hole in your card. If you were late twice, they put another one in so that you had two. And once you had two, you couldn't go on in. You could go in the afternoon. You had to wait the afternoon, they wouldn't let you in. And that was just to be right like that. Anybody put that, but it was, in sense, it can't even, because it was 15 minutes. If you were late, you lost 15 minutes, you see. And if you got two, that was a half an hour. That's a lot of money.
So you had ways to sneak in?
No problem. No problem. Everybody had. No problem. I could get into Readheads now. Right? No problem.
Is it still there?
Yeah, but it's not the building yard. It is oil rigs, repairs to oil rigs and that. Some of the buildings is there, but no, there's nothing like that now.
So when you went to, where did you go after Readheads?
Readheads, where did I leave? Oh, I went to Leslie's, Hawthorne Leslie's. I lasted 6 weeks there. And then I got a job at Swans. Swans, I got 3 years there. And he paid us off. So they want to pay you off. But we're a bit clannish, even at Swans, for lads that come from the associates, you know. Sundance, as you know what we're called. Like, do you want any bloody Sundance as here? That was typical. Even at Newcastle, you know. And I said, fair enough. Like, he says, I cannot pay you off, but I have to pay you off. I says, and I'm a load of dummies here, like, but what can I do? He says, they want you off and that's it. So I says, fair enough. Me and Graham, I was with Graham at the time, the two were. And a week later, 10 days later, I got a card through the door. Mr. Moore, do you think you and Graham can come back? We've had a crack and buy the, you know, and want a lot of deck taken up and laid, like. And I says, no, I said, we're getting a promise on the insulation. By insulation, you had to take flowers to the manager. That was very important because the money was absolutely fantastic. I said, no, we're getting a job. But I hadn't. But I was going for the job. And I remember this day, I remember going, me and Graham, And stand in a queue then. There was about 6 of them, like, in the gaffer's office. Going, no, I said, I'm not starting these shipwrights. I'm not starting these shipwrights, because it was nearly all joiners. But I had to have a rota. There's so many shipwrights by law, you know. So he come to me and he says, I said, I'm not starting these shipwrights. I said, oh, that's fair enough, like. He says, I did this job before. I said, no, I haven't got a clue. He says, right, start them on. He says, I got a mate. I says, aye. He says, can he start? I says, aye, he's there. He says, tell him to start them on. He even went aboard there with our boxes, because we had tool boxes, went aboard like this, happy as Larry. Because he was a cracking job, you know. Because your insulation, it was like a fruit boat, you know. Carried fruit with everything, all the walls had to be insulated with cork, timber, wood, asbestos and everything, you know. And it was a fantastic job. And we were there like 18 months. We had enough there, well, I did 5 years. Fabulous. Everybody. I remember one bloke coming, he was a canny lad, and he would wanted to get on this. And I remember we were all standing, in daylight, something like this, and we're all on the plate edge, like, you know, up top of the gangway, and he come up, like, you know, and he must have knew a few of them, because I didn't know, and he says, Jesus Christ is coming aboard here now. He's had to get big white beard, you know. That's the very word it says, Jesus Christ has come here to build this.
Yeah, would you just be able to tell me a bit about the history of this sand dancers thing and why there was such animosity?
Well, ever since, well, not when I was a boy, not when I first started, because then there was loads of work all over, you know, when you were serving your time, like. And it wasn't until you actually become like a journeyman that you start to get this feeling, because they had out against apprentices sort of style. You know what I mean? Because apprentices were in the one yard in any case, and they didn't go on anywhere else. You know what I mean? Because they had to serve their time for the 5 or 6 year, whatever. And once you become a journeyman, right, a lot of people used to say, well, I'm not stopping here, the money's no good. So so as soon as you're gone anywhere, even my first job, when I left Readheads and I went to Hawthorne Leslie's, it wasn't too bad. It was kind of there, because they were on this side of the river, you know, same side as us. And when I went over the water at the Swans, then it was a little bit nicky. They want bloody sand dancers here. Do you know what they're doing here anyway? Bloody some many I can't get a bloody job for them. You know what I mean? Like when they use different type of language, obviously. And regardless, it doesn't matter where he went. The only time I had any satisfaction when I had left Readheads was when I went to work for the insulation people, because everybody was the same there, because we're all the same as me. You know, they left all jobs so that they can get with the best, and they weren't worried as long as they had a job there. Because you had to be careful what you said when you were on insulation, you know, because the job was so good and the money so fabulous, right? You couldn't say no, you know, best to keep your mouth shut. And that wasn't too bad. And I did have a good time. I had a lady Tucker. Welder. And I worked with her for 10 years, I think, in a little room like this. And she was good. I worked with her, and she hadn't any animosity against anybody. But the worst place was Sunderland. They just didn't like it at all. When I went to Sunderland to start there as a shipwright, he says, I don't want shipwrights, I want platewrights. Well, a platewright was like a plater. But at Sunderland then they decided that they were going to have platewrights. So they made their platewrights up. So he says, you can have a job as a platewright, which is exactly the same as a shipwright. You know what I mean? So I says, mine, Graham Anderson. So I says, oh, okay, that's good,
What was a plater and a ship? What was a shipwright traditionally?
Well, the plater is distinctly a plater who manufactures in everything to do with steel. He would make the drones, the plater, and the plater would, once the ship got started, in my time, right, the plater would make a copy of what he had to do, and then he would come round with an apprentice, right, and he would have a mock width of the frame that he was taking, the plate what he's taken, and he had all these boards on, like that, right, and he would put them on the frame, and he'd put pins on them like that, steel pins, jam them in like, and he would mark the holes, and you'd take the template back, right, put it on the plate, and he would mark that plate, and then he would take it, that would be transferred to the driller, and he would drill all the holes, extra holes. That's what was the plater done. And then he made brackets, he put girders up, brackets, he used a machine which we couldn't use, you know, we weren't allowed on rolling machines and things like that. We weren't allowed to do anything like that. Where a shipwright was responsible, it's really difficult because there was always animosity between the two anyway. No, more so than sand dancer, you know. If they didn't like us shipwrights taking what they considered to be theirs, and we didn't like them taking what considered to be ours. So they had to form some sort of agreement what we do, like, you know. And it was very difficult because the work is very similar in any case, you know. The only reason the shipwright got away with it because they were capable of doing woodwork and all, you know. So basically it was hard. And then when I went to Sunderland, he said, "Can you be a playwright?" I said, "Well, I don't know what a playwright is like." He says, "Well, just putting brackets on and small repairs and that, like, you know." So I says, "Okay, we'll have a go." Well, it was a job like even me Mark would do. I mean, little bits of plate that size, you know. And he stood around for days. Nothing this has crossed my heart. For days, sometimes weeks, with a sham piece of plate. You know? I said, "Well, any chance of getting a border?" He says, no chance. I said, "Well, how would you expect me to get this?" And I said, "We just have to work your turn." But I knew the lad, called him Tommy Smeaton, cracking footballer. He belonged Shields, and he was working at Sunderland. And he was a border. And he come down, he did everything for us. And he got his mates to come down and deal with me, thinking it. So that's how I moved up gradually, like. But I'd only been there 2-3 weeks, and they had a meeting, and they decided that I think there was 8 had to be finished, or 18, I'm not sure. And this is sand dancers are going to go on. This is, you know, who understand us are gone, we don't have a mean. So I said, "Well, if that's the case, like." So me and Graham, like, foreman come up. Foreman Robbo, that's what you call him, little bloke with glasses, they were terrified of him. He says, "We've got to pay 8 hands off." He says, "Are these 2 lads happy here?" I says, oh aye, yeah, because the money was good there now. Aye, I says, "Aye, no problem, like." He says, "Are you sure?" I says, "Aye." I says, "Right, well then," he says, "You're not getting finished." So they went back to the shop stewards. He says, "I'm not paying them 2 lads off." He says, "I need them." So he says, "Well, look where they travel from, the sand dancers." So he says to the lad, he says, "Well, where do you come from?" He says, "Oh, Same Harbour." It was miles away compared to where we were. He says, "Well, these lads just live in Shields, in Clean Village, you know." So he says, "I'm not paying them more." He says, "Not only that," he says, "half these buggers can't do the jobs that they want to do, that they can do." So he says, "Has any of you want to go on the ways, the launch ways?" He says, "These lads can do launch ways." So I put us on launch ways, that was a top money job. So, and they really didn't like it. I mean, there's no worse than going on a job and looking at the job, and you've got 4 Sunderland lads there who've been there for years, you know, standing just where you are now, and there's the job just where the bush is, and I'm going to do that job, and they're just looking at you, not offering you to help out, like, you know what I mean, like, just didn't like it. And it took me a long time to get to know them, and then I worked with one of the top hands. He lost his mate. He says, and he sent me with one of the top hands called him Alan Richardson. He says, go and work with him. He's a top hand. And I went to work with him. And the jobs that he got was piece jobs. And I got in with that, you know. And after that, I become a bit more popular. And then I become unpopular because I got what you call a lining up job, which was a cabin. And I used to go off and measure different parts of the ship and line parts of the ship off that needed to be erected and paid up by the shipwrights. And they couldn't do the lining up, and I was doing the lining up for them, which they didn't like, you see. So that took a bit more, 2 or 3 years. But after that, I settled down and I went to a couple of the clubs with them. And by that time I knew a kind of few of the welders and boners. And whenever there was a big job wanted, the boners always asked for little Sandy, or Big Sandy, to do the job. And that's why we got on well with the welders, because we used to get them good jobs and made their money up and all just this year.
So you were at 40, weren't you, when you became a liner offer? Can you just tell us a bit about more about the process of what actually involved, what you'd do and why it was important?
Everything that was erected had to be lined off before it got erected, so that if a piece come over, they had to know where to put the piece. Just say a plate, bulkhead, frames, anything. And before it come over, I had to make sure it was going to the right place. So I had to be responsible for lining it off so that they could land it within reason, right? And then I would put a 6-inch datum mark on, right? And whoever followed me, the shipwright would come along, right, and he'd use that datum line to line that off. So if he kept a piece of steel, like say a piece of steel, a whole bulkhead, maybe it's 25 ton, if he kept it 6 inches all the way along, it would be right. And that was lining off. And it was getting the width of the ship at the same time. And you used to have to get the half width from the centre of the keel, right, to the end of the ship sort of sail, right, before they put the frame up. And that had to be spot on, both sides. And you use the water level for that. You know what a water level is? It's a pipe, clear pipe, right? Maybe it's 100 feet long, not wide. And you fill it with water, right? And you put them both together, right? Join them both together, both ends like that, you know, when trying to get them level. And the 2 bubbles would come and it drop, and then it would be dead level. And you'd put a stopper in, a cork, and you give that to your mate, which would be Graham, right? And he would go along there to the centre of the keel, right? And I would be outside, right? And he would say, right, I'm level Ken. And I would say, right, spot on. I'd put a mark on. That would be it. Did you know that? Because water finds its own level. Doesn't matter where you're going. No matter where you're going, just height in the water on. Right? That's a water level. And I can measure that house to here to get a dead line, straight line like that with a water level. And every day you used to go out there and check everything twice, 3 times, and used to mark it, line it up for people to come along. You were responsible for that. And these are what you call, these are all the datum lines that I used to keep track of, and I just kept it out there, curiosity, because it was very, very difficult job, and it was so difficult that the lad I worked with then was not Graham, because Graham had died. he worked in a loft, he was a loftsman. And he come down, excuse me, come down to my cabin and he said, I've got a, and I knew him because we used to back horses together. He says, I've come to help you, Ken. I says, oh, what for? Like, he says, the other line off, like, he's finished, he's packed in. He says, you're on your own. Oh, I says, God. I says, this is going to be a bit difficult, like, you know, because some of the jobs very important, like putting the load line on, the primsaw line on, the ship's numbers, you know what I mean? And I said, God, you know, I'm going to manage. He said, oh, well, I'm coming down to get your hand. So he come down and he bunked in with us and stopped a fortnight with us. And then 3 months, and I now learned a lot more of him than I did anywhere else. And then the holidays come, well, one more had to stop back while the other one had holidays. So when it was his turn to have a holiday, the ship was near completion and I had to have the numbers put on. That was a bloody nightmare. But I managed. Aye. I loved the shipyards, because I really did, because I was good. I loved the woodworking department, absolutely loved it.
What were conditions like generally there? Because it was all weather, wasn't it? Outside. And
yeah, Sunderland it was a bit rough, because a lot of the time I was on night shift and we worked on what you call the arse ends, and you're right on the seafront then, you know, and it was freezing. Used to highlight a tarpaulin run past into the planks, you know, and then we'd have the burner on, sitting. And then we'd gone somewhere where we could sleep. Because when you were on night shift, get the job done, that was it. You know, you could go and lie down, but you used to lie down and anywhere because you were that tired, you know. And that was freezing. But you did get your breaks, mind, in later years, which you didn't get in the time at Readheads. You got nothing. I mean, you know, you couldn't even have a cup of tea. It was nothing like that. That was, used to make it in a can and hide it in the bag, you know. Very, very, and they were nasty for them, and they used to sit in the cabins, you know, drink the tea, and then you could hear knocking on the top of the deck and with hammers and that, yeah, bloody tea. I wouldn't care, I went and did all the gardens for them. I did, because it was a lull, you know, when I was 20 in the shipyards, and we all had little cabins on the, because there was no ships, and what we used to do was odd jobs in there. Then we used to do fencing for them, for gaffers and managers and different things, you know. Used to go outside and do the gardens for them, like.
So was it always quite insecure?
Pardon?
Was it always insecure?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, always, yeah. You got good runs, you got bad runs. I think you had better runs in my time, my early time, you know, that was up to the mid-60s and 70s, and then deterioration from 75, I would say, from the 70s, slowly, and that was a way by then, like, you know, but in my time, my Readheads time, it was good, it was really good. That was the happiest time I've ever had. Because all your mates, you were the mates when you went out at night time, you know. Day and night were your friends, you know. It doesn't matter who they were, you know. You got the football match, everybody knew each other. Every time we were at work, everybody knew the fitters and electricians and everybody. It's just a happy community. That's how they build good ships. Never had much trouble there. Build lovely ships, you know. And that's why I built a model of a ship. Because they couldn't build ships like that. No way.
Did Readheads have people from Sunderland working there?
No.
So it was kind of across the board. It was.
Well,
yeah.
Well, to me, like Readheads was. It wasn't the type of yard that Sunderland lads would come to work in. They would go and work in Swans and Leslie's and them places because the money was a bit better and the access was a little bit better for them to get to. Like, we're coming here, They wouldn't come to Readheads, you know, because the money was the lowest paid on there. No, I've never knew Sunderland in there when I was at Readheads, you know.
Was it quite a small yard?
Yeah, right, we did build 3 ships up there, at the time 10,000 tonners, you know, and they had 3 berths, you know, and had a plate I shared. See, there was no prefabrication in them times, you know. The biggest thing was like a plate, you know, that was it, compared to other yards who were ahead of Readheads as far as building ships quicker and bigger and faster, you know. I mean, us and Pickagills used to turn maybe 5 ships a year out. Do you know what I mean? A year. Where Readheads could take them 9-10 months for 1 ship, you know. But they always had, you knew you were safe because they always had like three berths. And like I was telling you, there was always one ready to get launched, and the one halfway through, and another one a quarter way through. And once that one went away to get fitted out, that one, they started on that one. You know, it was really, really excellent. And they built lovely ships. Better than mine, and they were better craftsmen, without a doubt. That's my opinion, like, I mean, I might be wrong. But they were a really good craftsman.